like this. Can everybody go like this? You should be able to go like this and go like this. I know it's hard because you're sitting at tables, right? Without someone being right there. Because some people don't like it. Sometimes it depends where I am. I don't really mind if someone is right next to me. Depends where I am and what we're doing, right? But some people really don't like it at all. And it makes them very uncomfortable. So a good rule of thumb, a way to measure, to figure that out, is just to kind of do a little circle with your hands to make sure everyone has enough space, right? And we want to give personal space because we want people to feel comfortable, right? We want people to feel comfortable around us, being next to us, okay? So this is just a little short video, and then we'll do a little worksheet and have a discussion afterwards, okay? Hopefully the thing.
If you want to ace your paper, download Grammarly.
Grammarly.
Hope you're doing well. We have our social story this week. It is called Too Close for Space. Alright, so I want you to think about first if you've ever heard of personal space or a personal bubble. If somebody says, I need my personal space, okay? I want you to think about being in a big bubble. If you have a big bubble around you and it's about the size that your arms go out, and nobody should cross that space without asking you first, right? Because if they get in your space and start talking to you like this, you're like, whoa,
Super
whoa, that's too
uncomfortable.
close, right? So you need them to back up a little bit, right? So the same thing, you also need to give people their personal space and respect their personal bubble. All right, so we're going to read about that. Sometimes I stand or sit too close to people, right? Because sometimes you're just thinking about, your own thing, you're doing an activity, you're on the iPad or reading a book, so you don't really think about how close you're sitting to people or standing to people. But that's something you need to keep in mind, something you need to remember. Sometimes I'm touching them when they don't want me to. Okay? So if somebody sits too close to you when you're not expecting that, it bothers you, right? You're like, excuse me, you need to move away a little bit, right? So you need to also remember the same thing. You don't want to sit too close to someone else or stand too close to them and be touching them without permission, because you know how it makes you feel, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, right? So it makes them feel uncomfortable too. Alright. This bothers people and makes them feel annoyed or unsafe. So if someone's sitting right next to you, on you, you feel annoyed. You're like, can you move please, right? So that's how that makes them feel too. I can stand near people without touching them. Okay, so like when we have our lessons on the carpet, you're sitting close to people. There are people all around you, sometimes in front of you, behind you, and to the right and left of you. But you learn how to sit close to people, but keeping your hands and feet to yourself, right? And if somebody touches you while you're sitting on the carpet, you know that's not okay, you don't like that. So if you are touching someone else, even if it's by accident, that's not okay either. So we need to make sure we sit or stand near people, but keep all our hands and feet to ourselves.
Like you guys are doing right now at your tables, right? You're all sitting close to each other, but that doesn't mean our hand has to be in the other person's area, workspace, right?
Yeah.
We give each other enough space, even though we're sitting kind of close together.
I leave a little space between us. All right, so even when you're talking with your friends or your teachers, you leave a little bit of space, right? That bubble. About an arm's length between me and the other person when we talk, right? So if it's close enough, If I put my arm out, my arm's totally out, this is how close I am to you. That's a good amount, right? But if I come closer, is that too close? If I was in person, I'd be this far from your face. You'd be like, whoa, that's too close. An arm's length is a good amount. So practice putting your arm out, okay? Or put it to the side. And then you can
you're
practice
facing the
with
screen.
your parent
I know,
or
can't do that.
if you have a brother or sister. Don't accidentally hit them. Make sure that your hand is out at a safe distance. But that's how far you want to be. You can come a little closer if it's okay with them and you, right? But when you walk over to them and start talking to them, you don't want to be this close. You want to be a little bit further. This is called personal space, and it is like an invisible bubble. See how he has his own bubble and she has her own bubble. And their hands they're about an arm's length away. So they're not crossing each other's personal bubbles. That surrounds everyone and makes them feel safe. So when someone comes into your personal bubble without asking you first, that can make you feel uncomfortable, right? So if you do the same thing to someone else, that makes them feel uncomfortable or unsafe. Okay, so like if you want to give people a hug, which we love giving hugs, right? Everybody loves, well, not everybody loves hugs, but a lot of people like hugs. Well, you should ask first, okay? And if you want to hug somebody, say, can I have a hug? And I know with your teachers, of course, we're going to say, yes, I'll have a hug. I want a hug. Come and give me a hug. But if you ask, that's really going to help make sure that you're respecting everybody's personal space. So if you have a friend too, and you feel like you want to hug them, ask first. Say, can I have a hug? Is it okay if I have a hug? And sometimes you don't feel like being hugged, right? So sometimes they may say, you know what, maybe later, I don't feel like a hug right now. So we respect that and say, okay, maybe later. So people should ask you too, you know, can I have a hug? Is it okay if I give you a hug? Because you don't always, when I respect their personal space. And at school. And we're not at school right now, but you can practice at home with.
All right. So I don't want to. She's kind of repetitive at the end, but you guys get the gist of it.